Morning, we're back here in the workshop again, and when I was last here I noticed that one of the beams holding the upper floor had become, shall we say, substandard, cracked pretty much from the bottom to the top. So what we're going to do today is have a look at the beam, and then I'll show you how to repair a beam that's cracked somewhere along its length. Some situations you can't get to replace the beam completely, and it would take quite a lot of effort to do, but this just shows you how you can do it quite quickly, simply, and you don't need a lot of materials or tools. So hopefully you find this useful. Right, I've moved the car out of the way, and you can see, let's have a look. Here I've got a crack, the beam's cracked, running all the way up and round, and there's only that little bit at the top holding this together. There is a lot of stuff up there, which would mean a lot of pressure on this one little piece of wood, and you can probably see if you look down the beam, it does bend down a bit in the middle naturally, but it's forced this apart here. First thing we need to do is put some kind of support underneath. I've got a acro jack here, which you can either rent or buy from the DIY shop, and we're just going to put it underneath from the floor to there just to give it some support. Once that's in, just going to apply a little bit of pressure to take the floor back. We probably won't be able to get completely back to where we should be, but I want to take it up so that when we put the repair piece in, when you release it, it takes up all the tension in the new bolts. That's good enough. Okay, I'll bring you in, you can have a look. Just there. So I'll take you through some of the things you're going to need. Let's have a look. We need a piece of wood, decent size, decent thickness. This one's treated, so resists mold and moisture. We've got some 12mm nuts, washers, and some threaded rod. You can just use bolts if you wanted, if you had them the right size, right thickness, but it's really hard to find the exact size that you want, so I'm just going to make my own using threaded rod, but you can just buy bolts off the shelf if you wanted. So that's it. Next thing we need to do is put our new piece next to the old beam, clamp it in position with a couple of clamps where we want it to be. Right, so that's it. We'll just make sure that we've got enough this side to put our bolts in and this side to put our bolts in. Drill 4 holes on either side of the brake. Right, so just a normal cordless drill, and we know we've got 12mm threaded rod, so we're going to use a 12mm bit because it needs to be really tight as it goes through there. Right, let's stick these 4 holes in. Make sure you have them probably, if that's our brake there, probably 2 there, 2 there. Okay, so the drill, the distance between there and there isn't long enough to go through the whole, this wood and that wood. So a little tip, you can actually use a extension bit, usually used for the screwdriver bits, on the end of these just to get it through the other side. So just put see if you can see. Once your holes are through, you need to measure the width of your 2 beams combined and then add a bit. So it looks like, I don't know if you probably can't see that there, but 20 centimeters is there. Right, because we don't have to be super accurate, I can mark as many of these on as I want and just cut on the lines. If you need it to be millimeter perfect, cut 1, because then you got the width of the saw blade, measure it again and so on. But we're alright. I'll tell you what, after the second one you're going to wish you hadn't started. Or the best solution is just use a angle grinder. If you're lucky enough to have a metal bandsaw, you probably wouldn't be watching this. Quick as that. Four of those. Right, there's our 8 bolts. I don't know if you can see that, but where you cut it with the angle grinder, you've got a little bit of a lip, which means this bolt is really, this nut is really hard to get on the bolt. But just check each end. That one's fine now. Of each bolt to make sure that you can get your nut on the end. Now that one's a bit difficult, so if you've got a file, you can just file that bit off, put a slope all the way around, and that'll go on no problem. If you don't have a file, you can just use the angle grinder. So this is what we got left. We've effectively made our own bolts, the right size we want. If you know what size you are, you just buy the bolt corresponding. Screwed the nut on there and washer. So what we're going to do is pop this in there. All we got to do now is put the nuts and washers on this side, tighten it up. Oh, that's just enough to hold the thread while you get this nut started. And that's it, not very exciting now, so I'll put all those nuts and bolts on and come back to you when it's done. The bolts are all tightened up now. Once you've done it from one end to the other, go back and retighten the bolts, they might have come loose. That's that side. So now we've got a nicely bolted in support. The only thing left to do now is where we've got a little bit of bolt poking out there and there, just run along with the angle grinder, cut them off. Right, that's it. Simple way of temporarily fixing a beam, or permanently. They'll probably stay there forever now, but if you were ever going to need to do that in an emergency, it'll only take about an hour. And it's easy to do. So upcoming videos on this, hopefully get it started, not run for about 2 years, but yeah, looking forward to doing those. See you on the next one.